So this is a one of our newest members replaces Yasfat, and he said he's a crappy destroyer player, and so we're gonna give him some feedback. Now, you know, we're not here to, of course, tear his replay apart, but he's asked for some feedback, so we're gonna tell it like it is. That's how we do this. So Gadjah has deep water torpedoes, which means they will not hit destroyers. And it's got a pretty short duration smoke, Pan-Asian destroyer smoke. So it's good for breaking off contact and then getting out of the way. The nice thing about it is it reloads relatively quickly. So, you've got main armaments mod 1, engine room, torpedo tubes mod, and propulsion. Let's take a look at your maneuverability. Rudder shift time of 3.5 seconds, so propulsion makes perfect sense here. I might actually change this to aiming systems, because I feel like you want to be able to use the guns when necessary. That's your only tool to fight destroyers, is your guns. So having that aim might help. But doing torpedoes makes sense. They're faster, and you keep your tubes alive. SAT, what do you think?
Yep, I do not see any issues with the build at all. Looks pretty good.
As far as your captain build, there's 10 points. You're doing the core build. I talk about this a lot. So you preventive maintenance into last stand, into survivability, into concealment. Makes perfect sense. Now, if you want to spec this primarily as a torpedo boat, then you might go for things like fill the tubes. You might go for things like swift and silence. If you don't use your guns that much, it allows you to, maneuver really quickly to enemies. What else is good in Gadjah? If you do a more gun build, then obviously main batteries. Adrenaline Rush is always a solid pick for just about any destroyer. Am I missing any SAT?
You can also consider radio location, just to help you fight against other destroyers. Or
So,
avoid them.
even though your torpedoes won't hit them, if you know where your enemy is approaching you from, you can get your turrets turned in that direction before they appear, which saves you a lot of time and could give you that upper hand in that 1v1 destroyer fight. Good point. Alright, and for flags, you've got anti-det, fire chance with flooding chance, smoke generator, engines, and symbols. Interesting that you didn't choose the other fire chance flag that goes along with your guns. Fire extinguishing time would help a lot. When you're on fire, your spotting distance is larger, your bloom, so when the fire extinguishes that much quicker, that can save your ship from being shot at one more salvo or something. Okay.
Yep, looks like a pretty good build.
Yeah.
It looks like you're playing randoms. Some of the flags I would not run just because of economics, but if you have an abundance of them, go ahead.
Right. Right.
Бой
What
начинается.
SAT is saying, of course, is it costs you credits to buy those flags, or coal in some cases. And so you're better off just, not running them unless you feel you need that extra buff. I use those, especially like if you play competitive modes, like say ranked battles. Having the flags there really helps. Now, the battle has started and you haven't moved yet. I'm curious about this.
With the enemy Lexington there, I don't blame him for AFK for the first few minutes.
Okay. I purposely picked this replay because I saw it was the Atlantic, which means you're probably going to be bottom tier. And sure enough, you are bottom tier.
Yep. And to be honest, this is actually a better type of replay to analyze, just because there's a lot more. It's a lot more difficult than the standard down tier. So
Right.
that means mistakes that you do are more heavily punished.
Now, you turned your anti-air off. I don't, off the top of my head, I can look it up real quick. Your anti-air range is 2.61. Okay, So turning your anti-air off is okay-ish. Your anti-air guns only reach 3.5 kilometer, so you could get away probably with leaving those guns on. But whatever. It's a good habit to be in with a destroyer.
Yep. Might definitely keep him off until the planes just come above, then just sector priority.
Right.
Looks like you're... Right now, it looks like you're going to try and take B. But
Which is extremely risky.
yeah. Also, look at the enemy lineup. Look at their divisions. So you
Flint
have...
and Lazo.
Yep, you have a Flint and Lazo along with the Boyskibitsa. And then you have the Jaeger Kagero div. And then finally, you have a Martel and Laterable div.
Yep. Yasfet, dude, I just paused it right here because of a very important reason. What SAT was just talking about. The Flint is detected, which means the Lazo is probably nearby. More importantly, that means the other destroyer in that div is most likely in front of the Flint, and that would, of course, be the Bliska. So, the last thing you want to do is derp into spotting right here, because the Flint and the Lazo are both spec to essentially destroy whatever destroyer their Bliskovica runs into.
And you know there is someone in B cap, and you probably know who is that destroyer now.
Right. So, I mean, dude, I would be turning and running. Dump torps at the Flint and run away. There's no need to sit here and get yourself killed right away in the battle.
Yeah, and you don't want to get close to the Flint. He has like double, triple your firepower. This is not advised.
You keep zooming in like you're ready to fire your guns. Dude, no. Have your torpedoes loaded and be ready to fire your torpedoes. Also, as soon as you enter the B cap, you tell the enemy, everybody in the enemy, but especially those guys nearby, that something's in the cap with them. That encourages them to stay put and get ready to shoot whatever destroyer enters the cap. Most likely, that destroyer will enter from the northwest, because that's where most destroyers will enter from. In other words, their guns are already ready. You're still getting ready to shoot. And now you just got yourself into detect, okay? Engine boost is your friend now. You gotta get out of this, dude. You gotta get out of this. Bliska is now detected. Lazo is probably shooting at you too. Alsace is probably gonna shoot at you. You're just gonna get yourself Robocopped here. Smoke's not gonna help you in time.
Well, it's... yeah, definitely pop it, but the best move was to not be there in the first place.
Now, pop your DCP, pop your engine boost, and just get the hell out of here. No point sitting here. You're backing up.
Yeah.
Enemy... Go ahead.
This is kind of a common thing I see with novice destroyer players. They are greedy. They're too greedy for the cap, especially at the early game. Like, caps are one thing, but your team's not going to immediately lose because you lost a cap at the start of the game.
Take a look at the minimap. Who's there to back you up? Nobody.
Yep.
Now, before you got hydroed, you're hydroed now, but before you got hydroed, the other thing is, if I'm that Bliska, I'm just going to dump torpedoes into that smoke. That's it.
And
there
with
you
that
are,
bot, yeah, that Flint is like, okay, I can just hydro, get you out of here. And with
there it is.
people shooting at you.
So we got ourselves a death pick. Oh. Planes are coming. The problem is the planes are... What are the planes going to do that's going to help him live? You know what I mean? I just don't see it. And you're frustrated enough that you've already quit the game, gone back to port. This is the one thing that I feel is kind of a negative with the changes that they've made. It's nice that you can go back to port right away, but I don't know if you have the time to really sit and think about the replay before you go back into another battle and do the same thing again. So, one thing that I want to mention is I feel like with the way I'm seeing you play destroyers right now, one, ranked is your friend. And I know you people might get triggered by me saying go into ranked, but when you go into ranked, there's fewer enemies. It makes it easier for you to really choose your engagement. And two, you gotta stop playing higher tiers. I would focus on the mid to low tiers right now. Get the basics down of when to go into a cap, when to when to back off and that sort of thing. I think you're playing at too high of a tier. Because you sent me a bunch of Benham games, which tells me you've been playing the game for a long time. Hatsuharu, Fubuki, Akizuki, Lightning, Vaquelan, Scone, Benson, Akizuki. So you've been playing a lot of tier 7, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah. There's just a lot of the fundamentals that you still need to work on here. For
Mhm.
example, destroyers, like, yes, you want the cap, but at the same time, you're the most fragile class in the game. So going 1v4 against a division is basically screams, don't do that. You should be
Right.
using your stealth, just avoid that area, and then just rotate off to see what else you can do.
When I have free time, especially at the start of the game, I'm looking at the mini map. And you started moving a little bit late, so you're either a late loader or maybe you tabbed out and tabbed back in just to play the game. Either way, look as soon as you start moving, look at the mini map and see what's going on. The rest of your team is moving south. So, in my opinion, you've got two choices, C or A. B is the worst place for you to go by yourself. And a
Hmm.
lot of people I notice when I play the game myself, I notice a lot of people that are AFK for a certain amount of time, be it 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 minutes. What they do as soon as they get into the game, they hit W4 times and they shoot right into the middle and get themselves killed. So don't do that. Take a moment, look at the battle. There's no need to rush.
Yeah, and especially since you're the bottom tier ship, so you're already playing at a disadvantage. So you don't want to take fights that there's a lot of fights you cannot take. What you can do is use your spotting. Your 6.1 detection means you will outspot about everything that's not a Kagero.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use that to your advantage, your team will get excellent spotting while you
Mm-hmm.
get to farm a lot of spotting damage. So
Right,
you are like even in a low tier, even if you're the bottom tier, you actually can provide a lot of support.
right. Um, and Dutch brings up a good point. If you approach the cap differently, instead of going straight in like you did, if you had turned around and backed into the cap, you're ready to run. You actually had a really good couple opportunities to run, and you didn't take them. One, as soon as you saw that Flint and that Lazo. The other is as soon as you popped your smoke, you had the opportunity to run away there, and you probably would have been saved. The one and only Harlequin, thanks for the follow.
Yep. So
Okay.
just because it's a one, just because there's a div there, I would not Okay, the two reasons I don't recommend taking a middle cap. A,
Mm-hmm.
as that said, you're alone, so no support whatsoever. B, you're bottom tier, so
Mm-hmm.
if you do run into anything, they're probably going to crush you. C, there's a carrier. If he flies his planes over you, that's GG. And
Yep.
then, yeah, that's actually the three main reasons. So it's already not a good idea to take the cap. As
Yep.
soon as you saw one of the cruisers there and the the division, that's your cue to just bail out because you're not going to accomplish anything at B. You may
No,
stall it, but is that really worth losing your HP or even your entire ship for it?
right.
Like, you basically stopped them from capping for about 30 seconds or so,
Hmm.
and you traded your entire ship for it.
Yep. The way you're playing, it feels like you played a lot of lower tier 2, 3, 4 battles, and I mean, this is the kind of mistake I see a lot of people make in 2, 3, 4 because you don't get punished for that. If you're in a Clemson and that's an Omaha or a Phoenix at tier 4, you'd be fine. But it's a Flint, and you saw what happened. So, like I said, 5. I would focus more on playing 5 and 6 a lot. You can play 7. That's cool. This is a down tiered battle. It is what it is. But take some time. Be a little bit more cautious. You don't need to go someplace right away. It's not worth it. And most importantly, thank you for sending that one in. I know it can be embarrassing saying, look at everybody's going to laugh at how terrible I am. That's not the whole point of this channel. The whole point of this channel is to help people learn and grow and improve. And if you don't make mistakes, you won't learn and grow and improve. So thank you for sending that one in. And I mean, these replays are actually really good because I don't have a lot of them on my channel. So I really do appreciate that.